Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host, Paul James, and today I'm joined by Matto Phillips. How's things, mate?
Good. You keep talking for a second. I
You
just
haven't got
realized
your
I forgot to
RGB
do
the way you want it.
one thing. I was
Yeah, we
wondering
got
why it
it.
was so dark. I was looking at it going, hey, this looks way darker than usual.
We'll get the mood lighting going, and I'll explain. While Matto's doing that, I'll explain what we're up to today.
I really
If
wish it was
the
clapped.
episode title hasn't already indicated it, we're having a draft here. There's no points on the line. There's no competition. There's none of that sort of stuff like what we've seen in various other drafts over the journey. This is a bit more just a hypothetical. We're both publishers and we're building a team of
We,
indie
we have
studios to kind
a
of
big bag of money.
big bag of money, and we're going to pick
We've
up
got the
as many
checks.
the best independent studios out there, big independent, small independent, whatever. As long as they're not already owned by another publisher, they are on the table as an option, and so we're going to dive into that and build a publisher of 10 studios and see where we go from there. So we'll just start things the way we always start things. Matto, you can kind of get the ball rolling.
All right.
Do you have any like overall strategy you were thinking of though before we really dive into it?
Not really. I think it's just games I played and games I liked, or games that I know are sort of popular.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it. So I'm going on favoritism of what games I liked, not hey, that's a popular game. I say you'll do, like, sort of thing. That's it. That's how I've looked at it.
Yeah, I can get around it. Whereas mine, I'm trying, and we'll see what happens once. No, actually, I'll let you pick your first pick, and then I'll kind of explain my thinking after that.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
you might in part tank my whole strategy depending on what you do
Oh,
here. So
oh oh no, I'm destroying the draft system
I've
here.
got some backup options, but there's nothing quite as big as what my first pick is. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, yeah, this first pick. Well, it might be a curveball. It might not be. You don't know. It was one of my favorite indie games. So I just decided my first one would be Acid Nerve.
Oh, you prick! I mean, they were on my list, but
The two dudes, or it's a studio of two guys, which I found out, which I even blew my mind even more. That it was like that game was created by two people,
well,
which
they
is
did
insane.
outsource some help.
They did get help,
Yeah.
but it's also you look at it and go, the studio is just two dudes,
Yeah,
two
80
people.
percent of the work is just two people, which is pretty incredible. And yeah, they were 100% a studio on my list. Now, this is where my strategy comes into play. My whole strategy was invest in one or two big names that are going to rake in a ton of money, so that the rest of my team can be just indie like super small indie studios or whatever they happen to be. They can put out the best of the best, but the studios that don't exactly churn games out at any great rate, but when they pop up, they kind of knock the lights out. So the fact that we our title wasn't indie, it was independent, gives me a little bit of wiggle room here to go real big. Like, and I don't know if you necessarily thought down this path.
Probably not.
Um,
Unlikely.
this is a studio who has put out a Game of the Year winner in 2015. They are independent still.
Okay.
They are also kind of a publisher of their own stuff in a weird way. CD Projekt Red is still independent, and so I grabbed them.
I didn't even think of that.
Because they could just put out.
No, that's a fair call. I didn't even put two and two together on that.
So
That's a doozy. That is
yeah.
an absolute. You might as well just Can I have all your other picks now? Because I'm gonna need them.
Well, like it was kind of okay. I wanted to lock down that one because they can put out a Witcher, they can put out a Cyberpunk or whatever the case happens to be, and then everyone else can take literally as long as they want. Like I could not have under my big publisher umbrella, which I'm obviously going to call Paul James Games.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to come up with a name. I do have one.
You got some time. Maybe something will bob up before the
I've
end of
got
the show.
mine.
Oh,
I've got mine. Yeah. What's yours? Paul James.
We'll have to go Paul James Games.
Okay, mine is Crying Jim Studios.
Yeah, okay, I can get around that. So yeah, the whole logic with that first selection, I had some backups just in case that didn't work out for me, but was I get like a Cyberpunk, I get a Witcher, and that just bankrolls everything that anyone else can do because there's no want for money at that stage. you've got this big hitter that's just going to be drawing money for years, and then the smaller guys can all feed off that, and so you can get, well, I won't name the other games, but like say an Acid Nerve style title, that can sit there for 5 years and make the game that they want to make the way they want to make it, and then just put it out as soon as they're ready. So CD Projekt Red picking is my first pick there, and I'll throw things back over to you.
No, that's an absolute. Yeah, no, I didn't even think of that. It was like when you said CD Projekt Red, I'm thinking, technically, yes, they are an independent studio because they're not owned by
Anyone.
So yeah, no, well played there. I give you. I
you've
give
still
full
got an
credit.
opportunity to go down a similar sort of path. I've kind of set a
Oh
tone.
no,
here, so.
definitely not. You're just gonna buy up all the big ones that.
No,
I'm just
I'm
gonna
not
scratch
gonna
my
get
head
into that
and
sort of
go. Then I'm just gonna scratch my head and go. Oh, why did I think of this? Why didn't I think?
I
of
had
that?
backups just in case you went down a similar path, but otherwise, my plan is
No,
to grab one and
definitely.
one only, and then
Definitely
move on
not.
to the small guys.
All right, my second pick I'm going for is Super Giant Games.
Oh, yeah, fuck that. Now that was my first.
Oh, I'm
genuine
just
pick.
taking all your building blocks out. I'm destroying you good and proper. Aha! I'm doing the old Monopoly trick of holding out on Mayfair while you have the other one.
Pretty much. Park Lane and Mayfair. Yeah.
The developers that created the game,
Hades and Bastion and
Bastion.
Pyre and that other one in the middle between those two that I can never remember, but it's not quite as good as Bastion. It's not coming to me, but whatever. They're probably the most acclaimed indie team in the business simply because they churn the games out. They're like the Insomniac of the indie space. Like they get the games out still at a fairly decent pace. Like not as fast as Insomniac, but like they'll put out a game every 3 years or so, and it's a 9+ out of 10 score every year. So you've nailed a good one there.
As I say, this is almost like an equivalent of Battleships of just taking out all your studios.
So I'm definitely curious to see where you go as things kind of progress. But
I've got an idea.
I'll turn to, and this is now kind of all possible because of my first selection, the fact that the money's just rolling in, that I can like, oh yeah, sure, no worries. It's taken you since 2016, 17 to put out your last game. Team Cherry, so Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah.
I'll scoop.
Do you just want to say you can just like right, you
get
you
the
guys
fucking game out.
Maybe give me. I want Hollow Knight 2 for me and me only. Stuff the rest of the world.
Paul James Games exclusive for the publisher and for myself. No one else can play it.
Paul James edition.
Yeah, I can get around that. So I don't think a lot needs to be said about Team Cherry. They're a gun studio, but yeah, they take a long time. So CD Projekt, the money from them really helps that. I'll throw it back over to you again.
All right. This one I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it could be an indie studio. If not, then I'll just cross it out and go again. Deck 9 Games.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah, they're not owned. Like they've been doing work with Square Enix.
Oh yeah, no. I'm talking about you got CD Projekt Red, and like they're not owned. So yeah, game on. Game on. They are the developers of Life is Strange. That is correct. Well, I wasn't sure. They're not Telltale.
The more recent one. No,
No.
They did the most recent one, True Colors, and I think they did Before the Storm as well, but they didn't do Life is Strange or Life is Strange 2.
Oh, there you go.
That was no. Don't nod. Who I guess technically are independent as well, because they seem like they've done work with Xbox, they've done work with Square Enix, they're popping up all over the place. So they're independent as well. If that's someone you decide you want to grab later on. So for me, back to my list, I'm gonna again go with a team that takes a fair while to get stuff out. But that game company, which is the one that's responsible for...
Yeah, bastard, that's what I had.
For Journey, Sky, they did Flow and Flower back in the day, and they've really not missed. I think Sky is kind of a weird one because they went with a little bit of an online sort of flair. Like they took what they did with Journey and amped it up a little bit in that space, and so it requires a bit more of a commitment, which pushes some people, including myself, away. But I can't argue the quality of it. So that game company is my third pick. And again, no rush, guys, because you've got Cyberpunk money.
You got CD Project Red money coming in. Don't you worry about that. So my next pick, what have I got left? I was going to go that game company next too. So you've just absolutely
Oh look,
ruined me.
this squares is up for taking Supergiant in particular.
Good. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. My next studio is Studio MDHR,
Oh
the
yeah,
creators of Cuphead. Because for some reason people like that game, or
I mean the
people
game's
just
awesome.
like
It's just that it's ridiculously hard.
it's pain, absolute pain. And then they got their whatever their DLC is. I forgot what it's called, but it's
The
just
delicious last course DLC.
that's the one. Yeah, I knew it was like just a play on words of DLC, and I thought
Yeah.
that is
Genius
brilliant,
actually, but.
absolutely genius.
So for me, Moon Studios is my next pick. They're the developers of the Ori games.
I
like
forgot about
and Blind
Ori. I
Forest
forgot
and-
about. Oh,
yeah.
what did I? Oh,
Um,
you idiot!
So
How did I
yeah, but
forget
both
about
Ori
Moon
games. They're working on
Studios?
something new, I believe, and they're not working on. I think it's multi-platform, whatever it is next. I think they're working with. I think they the Take Two, the 2K company offshoot, Private Division. I think they're working with them.
Oh,
That
there you
or-
go.
That it was Epic. Might have been Epic. I don't know. Either way, they're still freelance. They kind of go around to whoever wants to pay the most. So Microsoft obviously locked them for Ori, and then yeah, Epic or whoever it is these days. So good on them. Back over to you.
All right, I'll go with my next one. What have I got left? Oh, I got a few. All right, I will go with my next one being Massive Monster,
Oh yeah, good get.
the
I'll
Cult
admit
of the Lamb creators.
I'll admit I didn't even think of them, which is kind of insane to me. But yeah, it's like the best indie of last
We've been
year.
talking
so-
about that game all of last year. We all three of us in our patches gave it the best indie game
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I completely
Shockingly,
lost sight of it though.
I
So-
still find that blows my mind that we all agreed on one indie game was our favorite.
Yeah, that was a
is-
good effort, but especially considering Damo hadn't been on the show all year, so we couldn't have predicted what he was going to say.
Today you said Cult of the Lamb. Did you said yeah, mine's Cult of the Lamb too? And then I started talking about a game which was also Cult of the Lamb,
Yeah,
and everyone's just like, "Oh wow,
it's a
we
damn
all
good
agree on an
listing.
indie game."
So for me, and look, this is partially influenced by the fact that it's their next game is arguably or right up there with my most anticipated this year, and I've already said Team Cherry, so I'm not talking about Hollow Knight again. Sabotage Studio, so the ones responsible for the Messenger, but also the upcoming Sea of Stars. So my Chrono Trigger kind of knockoff that is coming in August. So I'm really I love what they do. The Messenger was amazing, and yeah, all about this one. Over to you again.
Nice. My next one, I will go with Young Horses Games, the ones that
Oh,
created Bug Snacks.
And
It's
Octodad.
hilarious. And Octodad. So
Did you ever play
if I
Octodad?
got them, no, I didn't.
Octodad is
I did not play
funny
it. But if I ever got them, I would get them to go right. Maybe a Silicon Valley type game, like the old 64 version,
shit. Yeah, okay. That'd be interesting.
or make a really stupid rip-off Conker game because you can go down that path.
So next, I've changed my list on the spot just based on the trajectory you're going. I had everything.
My
kind of-
trajectory is absolutely nothing.
I had an order, but I reckon this game is going to be starting to come up.
I've
Well, sorry,
ruined
this
it.
developer's going to be coming up soon. Played it.
Okay. No, I did have Play Dead.
The Limbo and Inside team.
Oh yeah. I thought
They
they
were-
were owned by Xbox. Well, they just do stuff
no,
for
no,
Xbox.
they've been doing
Oh,
stuff for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's been coming out.
How did I
for-
not think of that?
I don't even know if they even got publishing help with any of their games. I think that maybe Limbo when it first came out, Xbox maybe threw a bit of money at them because it was at the beginning of the whole Xbox arcade sort of thing. But no, these days like they self-publish. So and they're due for a new game. I reckon 2024 might be the year that we get a new game from them. I'm not crazy about Inside. I think that's pretty overrated actually. But I mean, people lose their mind over the studios, so they put out a game. It's going to be good for my company. I'm really embracing the fact that I'm a straight up publisher here and just trying to own the conversation.
I think you've been listening to too much Jim by the
I've been
sounds of
paying
it.
too much attention to Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan.
Just old crying Jim there. My next one is a person. We're gone. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, go
Is your
on.
first guy's name Ben?
Oh no,
No, it's not Ben.
but I think I know where
His
you're
name is
going.
Ben Esposito or something, and he
Yeah, Ben
made Donut
Esposito. Yeah,
Bounty. So
and
I'll take on that guy.
most recently he did. Oh shit! It came out last year. It was a really, really popular indie game. It kind of had an anime sort of look. Um,
Oh, I can't remember it. Yeah.
oh shit! Ben Esposito. Neon White.
Yeah,
Neon White.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah. There
I
we
better
go.
note that down.
I'm
But
surprised so far that. Oh wait, no. I was say you've only crossed one company off mine, and I've crossed what, one or
you
two?
took two. You took Acid Nerve and
Two.
Supergiant off.
Yeah,
Well,
two.
and look,
I did.
I had Studio MDHR on my list, but they were right near the bottom. So
Ah,
um,
right.
only because like I could justify my whole CD Project money will be good for 5 years whatever of development, but they'll take 10 years. Let's be real, it's going to take them 10 years before the next game comes out. So for those guys, no, probably it's not fast enough. My company demands more.
I demand more out of my people.
So you've taken them. How many games have I picked? This is my seventh
Seventh, I
now.
think.
Yeah, okay. We're starting to get towards the pointy end. Yacht Club, which is the team responsible for Shovel Knight and now Mean of the Hollower this year. They are like the perfect example of a team that takes way too long to put out a game. Shovel Knight came out like 2014, and Mean of the Hollower was only going to come out this year. But even then, may actually slip because they're projecting December. So I reckon there's a pretty good chance it's going to slip into 2024 as well. But so that'll be a 10-year thing. Now there's been a lot of Shovel Knight in the meantime. There's been spin-offs. They've been doing some publishing stuff themselves, which would be kind of a cool aspect to have within the team as well. Is that like I've got a publisher within a publisher. It feels kind of very THQ Nordic these days. Very Embracer Group with all these little. Like how they own Gearbox, and Gearbox owns a whole bunch of indie teams and other teams under their umbrella. But yeah, we'll go Yacht Club because they might take a long time, but their games are awesome.
Okay. All right. So what we got? How many studios we got to pick from? 4. All right. So one's going to miss out. That's too bad.
Well, unless I steal. Do you reckon?
There's
Reckon there's any there that I might go for?
I don't know. I would say no, but who knows? You could just go, I got this one. I'll be like, no.
Yeah, I could go competitive. Yeah.
I didn't even think that you would have that game company, to be honest. And then I realized, wait, it's Journey. Of course, everyone's going to have that game company.
There is not a single game. One of my questions in every Dev Diary episode is if you could be responsible for any one game ever, what game would you have loved to have been a part of? And I reckon almost half of the developers I've had on the show have said Journey. So that game is always not far from the conversation. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
There you go. All right, so my next one, I'm going to go with Morbius Digital.
Morbius Digital. What did Morbius Digital do?
The Outer Wilds. It's owned by that guy.
Okay.
It's owned by the guy, or founded by the guy from Heroes. I don't know what his special power was. He was one of the two Asian dudes.
Oka? He was like the time-traveling guy, right?
Oh, so I was right. It was the time traveling guy. I swear, I was like, he doesn't read minds. That's the dude with the glasses. I'm not too familiar with Heroes. I know you are, so you would easily.
I used to watch it when it came out, but it's been a long time.
I swear it was like the time travel dude. I wasn't too sure. But yes, that dude, the visual effects dude, who used to be a visual effects dude.
Morbius Digital. RC. Okay, I'm pretty sure it was the. Yeah. Emmy and Golden Globe nominated Masaoka has starred in worldwide blah 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 blah. But he's the founder of the studio.
There we go.
It's pretty.
But still is the founder. Or
well, I mean, he's the founder no matter what. But I don't know if I assume he's still involved. I completely forgot about that aspect though. That's also a really handy bit of trivia that I completely forgot about. And I reckon there's plenty of people listening that probably weren't even familiar with that. But
me either. So I was like, oh, who owns it? Because you click on those stupid Google tabs, like, who owns it? Like, oh, we'll have a look. Who owns it? It's like 2 friends from university or whatever. It's like, you look at that one and go, oh, it's this guy. Like, hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know you.
So my next pick is Emberlab, which are the team responsible for Canterbury Spirits from 2020. That's
Oh,
100%.
yeah.
That's 100% biased because like I just am absolutely in love with that game. But at the same time,
Still an indie game.
setting aside
independent.
the CD Projekt part of it, they're also like they're the ones that will buck the trend when it comes to kind of here's what an indie game looks like, and it's it's your 2D side scrollers or basically everything kind of fits the MO of what a typical indie game looks like, and then they kind of waltz out and go, yeah, we're indie, but look at this, and it looks like it's it's arguably better looking than any video game you've potentially ever seen. So, I love Kenna Bridge of Spirits, but also Kana Bridge of Spirits, I should say, but also they're a really handy kind of point of difference, I think, when you're looking to build out a publisher. So what's that? That's 8 for the both of us. Yep, 2 to go each.
8 or 9? I know it is 8.
This will be your ninth now.
The
Yeah.
8th. 9th? Okay. Oh,
One,
we'll
two,
have
three,
3 to
four.
choose from.
Yeah, this is your.
Alright. So my next one, I'm just for the sake of it, Inner Sloth. The creators of Among Us.
Yeah, that's. Look, I'm not an Among Us fan, but I can understand why you get them though.
I've never played it, but everyone loves that game, so don't see why not you grab them. They can make something that everyone wants to pay for.
Oh, people lose their shit over it.
Lose it. Of some meaningless task of murdering people. Like it's like Cluedo, except you just accuse everyone for no reason.
And then it ends violently. Yeah, I can get around that.
Always ends violently.
For me, the name of the developer just it doesn't feel like with the name they should really fit under any publishing umbrella because it just screams mediocrity. And yet they're one of the best indie developers in the world. Extremely OK Games, which are the team responsible for Towerfall back in the day on the Ouya before it came to other platforms, but then Celeste most recently, which is one of the most beloved indie titles there's ever been. So, and they are working on a new game at the moment that I think is slated for next year. I've got it. I'll have to double check that, but they did announce their game. So, Extremely OK Games' next game. It's called Earthblade, and it's coming in 2024. Yeah. And it looked pretty sweet from the little bit that we've seen. So you've made it to the end, and you haven't run out of picks, which is kind of cool.
No, but there is one thing I'll ask a question of. Is Kojima independent?
You fucker. Yes, he is. Well,
I'm taking Kojima there. Suck it. It just came to my head. There's like, hang on, Kojima. Wait, he's not owned by anyone. If you're going on a CG Project Red type of thing,
yeah,
Kojima just walks. He just walks into any door he likes and just goes, "Yo, what's up, people?" And everyone's like, "Yo, Kojima, what's up?" Doesn't matter if it's an Xbox, Sony, Norman Reedus, Netflix for some reason, some dude in the street. He's just there. He is, Kojima, just doing what Kojima does.
That is a killer final pick.
That's a sleeper.
And I'll go like my final pick will be an individual person as well. In fact, I'm not really big on any.
Is it the single dad from Poland with his midnight?
It's. I'm not into either game that this guy's made. In fact, I quite dislike.
Well, he's made 2.
I quite dislike the game that he's most known for. But I'm going to get Toby Fox, who's the guy responsible for Undertale.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Fair. Yeah, I know your absolute love for Undertale.
Can't stand Undertale, but millions of people do, and he's beloved right up to the point where he's been he works with Nintendo on Smash Brothers. He's worked on them with what was the other one that he's been working on? Oh, Pokemon. He's been working with the Pokemon company and developing producing music with them for the game.
Oh, I was going to say, did he invent the Diglett? No, he didn't.
He probably invented Diglett. So yeah, I couldn't kind of pass that one up when the opportunity was there. So I mean that's our draft done. But you said you had another developer or two that you had?
I had 2, or actually 2.
Who have you
Two,
got left?
the Kojima thing. The Kojima one came in at the last
Oh
minute,
yeah,
which
of
just
course, yeah.
popped in my head.
So what were your two
I
left over?
had the other two I had was DJX Art, which are the creators of Road 96,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and just cause Blowfish Studios,
That's fair.
the
They
Sydney
catch
based.
a fair bit, yeah. So for me, and I'll go right back to the top because, like I said, I had a few AAA options at the beginning there just in case CD Projekt
Oh yeah,
disappeared.
yeah.
So
All these other ones I forgot about.
Remedy and IO Interactive.
Oh yes.
IO.
Would Ubisoft be an independent, or they?
No, they're a publisher. Yeah, they're a publisher.
They're publisher. Oh yes, of course, they're publisher.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a publisher, and then obviously they own all their Ubisoft studios underneath it. So yeah, Remedy, who just kind of still freelance, IO, who still freelance. They, Hitman is the perfect example of that, where I think all three games were published by different entities. Hitman One,
Yeah, Warner
like I said,
Brothers.
the most recent one was. Yeah, Hitman 1 was Square Enix, Hitman 2 was Warner Brothers, Hitman 3 they self-published, if I've got that right.
Then you go back to their older ones too. They're
That was all
They
over the
go,
place
"What?"
before Square Enix locked them down
Yeah.
for a while, and then eventually Square Enix let them go. So, and let them take the IP, which with them was crazy. And I
what
can't
is
remember
to
who
be
they're
honest.
doing. They're doing a James Bond game though, and I can't remember who that's being published through. So, they're obviously a pretty awesome studio. And Remedy, there's not much that needs to be said about them. They're obviously working on Alan Wake 2 at the moment, but they've got a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, they've got Control, which is in development as well.
Another Control.
Yeah, there's Control 2
Is
that's
there?
in development too. Yeah, they're all guns firing at the moment. So,
Good thing. Oh, glad it's not coming out in 2023. I'd be crying if that was
well,
the
I mean,
case.
Alan Wake, they're still saying is on track for this year though.
Oh, there you go. There was uncertainty on that too.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be 2024, but they're still saying 2023, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, Remedy and IO were the other AAAs that I didn't pick, and I can't believe I didn't think of Kojima Productions. That would have been great. But then in terms of like independent people after like kind of the typical indie sort of names or studios or whatever, Witchbeam, so the local team responsible for unpacking Assault Android Cactus and even the upcoming Tempopo, which was playable at PAX last year. Jonathan Blow, who's responsible for Braid and The Witness, and would be absolutely due for a new game, I would have thought. And then like those were the ones that I actually ranked, and then I had some other thoughts later on that I considered, but I guess maybe not going to make me enough money, I would have thought. Lucas Pope, who's responsible for Papers, Please and The Opera Din, which came out only a couple of years ago. And Motion Twin, the team responsible for Dead Cells, who literally have just put out the DLC, the Castlevania DLC, where they worked with Konami on that particular expansion. So they've got chops. So there was a few left on the table there that I hadn't picked, and obviously there's heaps and heaps of other games. I wanted to pick my SteamWorld developers, but they ended up kind of forming a publisher, and now they own a whole bunch of mobs. So I can't really go down that path. So I guess it is what it is. There's even things like the team's responsible for Hotline Miami and all that sort of stuff that are options there for people too. But
was it Disco Asylum? You put that in there
Disco
too?
Elysium as well, which
Elysium,
who is a team I'm not at all.
No.
Well, they're the team responsible for it's like ZA/UM, and that's the team responsible for Disco Elysium. But yeah, we'll see what's good. Apparently there's a bit of trouble over there, let alone the fact that there's I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But to summarize, I mean, did you make a note of all the teams you'd picked in the end, or do you need me to call it out?
No. I just got to put old right Kojima, and that's pretty much it. Everything else I've highlighted.
Well, let's summarize. People will kind of go red pill versus blue
Quantum,
pill, and people can choose.
The one, as I say, would the ones that made Heavy Rain, are they independent or are they owned?
Quantic Dream. They are independent these days, yeah.
I don't want them anyway, to be honest. They could have their own troubles and keep them, to be honest. I don't want them.
Frat boy culture.
I was just curious.
Coming back to bite 'em.
Just all these studios I'm thinking of now, I thought, I could have got those ones or this one.
Yeah, as soon as I
kind
of cracked open the floodgates for a bit of AAA, it's
yeah.
But we've both managed to land a big AAA to kind of help bankroll everyone else. And you managed to get Kojima dead last, you prick.
Yeah, the steal of the draft.
Like Hideo Kojima is the last one picked. Wouldn't think it. We'll do this. We'll do
I
this
don't
with a
know if he'd
triple
be
A
honored
draft at
or
some point.
insulted by that. Like, how dare you pick me as your 10th? It's like, hey, I did. Paul threw a curveball at me by against CD Projekt Red. I just thought, oh no, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. We'll do this with a triple A draft one day, and I suspect Kojima won't be the last one picked if that's the case.
Oh, I'll pick him first this time, and then you can go get.
No, then I'll scoop
show
him off you. But all right, go through your roster of developers under the name CryEngine Games.
CryEngine Games. These might not be in the draft order because I just had a list that just went from up and down.
I can read them out in order if you want.
I'll go for it. I know Acid Nerve and
Supergiant
Games were my first two.
Deck 9, Studio MDHR, Massive Monster, Young Horses, Ben Esposito, we just grabbed the guy. Like, that's it.
Just grab one dude.
Mobius Digital, Inner Sloth, and Kojima Productions. It's a pretty solid team. So that's your red pill.
The blue pill.
The blue pill. CD Projekt Red. I should have actually made myself the red pill really with CD Projekt Red at the top. But anyway,
well, we can always swap it.
No, whatever. The CD Projekt Red, Team Cherry, That Game Company, Moon Studios, Sabotage Studio, Playdead, Yacht Club Games, Ember Lab, Extremely OK Games, and Toby Fox to wrap it all up.
One guy.
Let us know in the comments or via social media which, like, if you could be one of those publishers, which side would you want to be on? Just to, I guess it's all totally subjective. It really depends on what.
Of course, everyone's going to come to CryEngine. Well, everyone loves seeing Jim cry.
CryEngine Games or Paul James Games. Take your pick.
That's the logo. It's just Jim's head crying on a baby.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a bit of fun putting, especially for those kind of behind the scenes. We are recording this way earlier than usual because of some unavailabilities coming up on the in our usual time slot. So we've got about a week beforehand. I'm gonna have a lot of fun putting together a thumbnail for this one, I think. So we'll see how that goes over the coming days. But I mean, this is being recorded before even the previous episode went live. So can you believe all the shit that went?
Was either going to call it CryEngine or Jim holding a controller Productions.
I might try and blend both together.
I know it will be CryEngine.
He can hold the controller.
CJ.
He can hold the controller and
whilst crying.
I think I can.
While subs taking away Call of Duty from his hands.
So yeah, let us know via social media anyway. What you're thinking of the two teams? Were there any developers that you're mortified that we didn't actually pick up, or even reference as an honorable mention? But otherwise, we'll wrap things up there. You happy with those picks though?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with my picks, especially my 10th one.
Yeah, you've closed that out real well. And yeah, I think if we'd both actually formed publishing arms and we're able to immediately just pick a whole bunch of teams to say you're with us.
Well,
we've done a.
I don't think I'll be able to get into the door in my studios because Jim would be standing there in my way saying, "Hey, take that down." Like, no, get out of the way, Jim.
Well, he wouldn't have liked the fact that you went and bought a whole bunch of teams that means he can.
Especially Kojima. Yeah. Especially Kojima. It's like,
oh yeah, that'll make
no Metal Gear for you, buddy.
There'll be a lot of internal turmoil over that one. The CryEngine has bought him, but also CryEngine doesn't like the fact that CryEngine bought him. Yeah, it's a bit of a loop there. Jim's gonna be perpetually crying. It's gonna be great. And for myself, yeah, real happy. Got a lot of my favourites and a few other strategic picks that I think would keep the company going pretty well for a while. But yeah, we'll wrap things up. If you enjoyed this episode of Patch, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live. That includes Patched, Player 2 Plays, Gamer School, and a whole bunch more. There's some awesome stuff there, so please make sure to subscribe and go and check it out. Visit the website, player2.net.au, for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series, Patch, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks, lower tiers early access, higher tiers multi-episode exclusives. And finally, there's Twitter. Matto
_Phil.
And at CryEngine Games.
The CryEngine. I should have said that. Damn it.
And for myself, it's Paul James Games for both, I guess. So visit the website, player2au. And until next week, again, let us know what you think of the developers we've picked up. Hopefully you enjoyed something like this and we can maybe do something more like it in the future. But otherwise, we'll see you later.